My son's emergency surgery was a loan, while my family asked for $8,000 from my sister. I froze their accounts. Next morning, my dad called in fury. Rachel, 32, a single parent with a 6-year-old kid called Ethan, works in finance. Ethan required emergency appendix surgery last week, and I was frightened. I phoned my parents, sister, and anybody else who could help us through this difficult time. Nobody showed up. My family has always relied on me for money. I received a text that altered everything 4 days after being alone in that hospital. Let me know where you're viewing from and subscribe before I tell you how my family deceived me and demanded $8,000. I need to take you back to the beginning if family drama stories like mine help you comprehend how things broke down. I lived in a middle-class suburban Chicago area with my parents Deborah and David and my younger sister Emily. Our home had an implicit hierarchy from the start. Emily was the golden kid and I was responsible. Our childhood images capture the narrative better than words. Emily in dancing recital outfits with proud parents. Emily unwraps Christmas presents. Emily getting accolades for every little win. I was the sensible, responsible kid who never caused trouble and learned to take care of myself early. I worked at the local grocery shop after school and on weekends by 16. Not because we needed cash. My family was middle class, but my parents made it plain that I was responsible for my necessities. My parents and I sat at the kitchen table with my University of Chicago acceptance letter, nervously discussing tuition. My mother stirred her coffee and remarked, "Rachel, we don't have that much money for you. We assumed you would obtain scholarships or go cheaper." She didn't indicate they were saving for Emily, 2 years behind me. I graduated with a business degree after taking out student debt and working 30 hours a week. Emily changed majors 3 times in 6 years at 3 institutions with our parents paying for everything. My first job was bank teller. I was 22 and ready to work and pay off my academic loans. I saved money by renting a little studio and packing meals daily. I called my parents to tell them about my first promotion to personal banking associate, but they were helping Emily move into a new apartment after she dropped out of college again. At 25 I met James. He was handsome, ambitious, and appreciated my practicality. We married 8 months later. My folks thought a simple ceremony was too modest. We always wanted to give one of our daughters a formal wedding, but my mother's side never paid. I got pregnant with Ethan after 2 years of hard work with James. I got my largest promotion, financial advisor, at one of Chicago's top businesses throughout my pregnancy. After Ethan was born, James became less supportive. He worked late, was annoyed by the baby screaming, and realized he wasn't ready to be a dad. When Ethan was, the divorce was official. James pays child support on schedule but rarely sees Ethan. Every other weekend became monthly, then holidays. Though I don't criticize him to Ethan, I'm parenting our son alone. Despite his health difficulties, Ethan is the nicest, most curious, and most resilient youngster. The mild cardiac murmur he was born with requires frequent examinations. Respiratory illnesses have always plagued him. The medical expenditures are high, but I can support him with my profession. I can't provide him a caring extended family. A worrying trend evolved between my parents and sister over the years. They seldom visited or contacted unless they needed something. Money became increasingly necessary. First, my parents needed help refinancing their home after taking out a second mortgage to pay for Emily's graduate school, which she quit after 1 semester. I got them a cheaper rate and paid closing fees. Ethan and I saved $4,500 for a family trip. Emily had credit card debt. $10,000. She spent money on clothing and weekend getaways with pals. My parents panicked and told me Emily cried every night worrying about debt collectors. I set up a payment plan and covered the first 4 months to get her back on track. I received harsh compliments and vows to change each time. After months of silence, the next catastrophe would arrive. When I discussed Ethan's school or health, people were distracted or shifted the conversation. "Right now, your sister is struggling." My mother said, whenever I expressed frustration at the one-sided relationship family helps family. "You are just better with money, Rachel. It has always come easy to you." My finances were difficult. While raising a child alone, I worked 55-hour weeks. I planned every dime. I gave up trips, new clothing, and restaurants to protect Ethan and myself. However, my relatives claimed that I was lucky or inherently excellent with money, as if my success had come from nowhere rather than hard effort. I unwillingly accepted this familial arrangement. The responsible daughter who had to save everyone but had no emotional support. I had set limits throughout the years, but nothing prepared me for Ethan's surgical results. Last Wednesday began like any other school day. I made Ethan's lunch. He entered the kitchen gripping his stomach and ate a turkey sandwich with the crust taken off, apple slices and a little cookie. "Mommy, my tummy really hurts," he murmured, pallid and squeezed. First, I suspected a stomach bug. One had spread in second grade. After checking his forehead, no temperature, I gave him water. After 20 minutes, he was weeping on the couch, saying, "The pain is getting worse now," focusing on his right side. Mind alarms went off. I immediately said, "Right side, abdominal pain, appendicitis." I contacted my job to report a family emergency, grabbed Ethan, and drove to the ER. After seeing Ethan, the triage nurse brought us back. Inside an hour, a doctor verified my fears. Acute appendicitis. Before his appendix ruptured, Ethan required emergency surgery. "Dr. Evans," the surgeon said, "we need to operate within 2 hours. The good news is this is a common procedure, but he will need to stay in the hospital for at least 2 days afterward to monitor for infection." I contacted my mother in the hallway as they readied Fanny for pre-op tests. Shaking hands made it hard to grasp the phone. I said, "Mom," when she replied, "Ethan has appendicitis. We are at Memorial Hospital. They are prepping him for emergency surgery right now. I am really scared. Can you and Dad come?" A pause. "Oh, honey. Today I have my standing hair appointment at 11 o'clock, and your father was going to clean the gutters." I closed my eyes to calm my breathing. "Mom, your grandson is having emergency surgery. The hair appointment can wait." "Well, let me talk to your father and see what we can do," she replied, frustrated. "What time is the surgery?" "They said within the next 2 hours. Please hurry." "We will see what we can do." "Rachel, do not be so dramatic. Appendectomies are routine these days." I hung up and called Emily. Call went to voicemail. I texted, describing the situation and requesting her to come to the hospital. I returned to Ethan's side, pretending to be calm. The following several hours blurred. Ethan was taken for surgery and I was told to wait. I saw other families console each other in pairs, 3s or 4s, grandparents diverting siblings with games and refreshments. I kept checking my phone every 5 minutes for family responses. After an hour, my mother wrote, "Let us know when he is out of surgery. Your father has a backache today, so driving would be difficult." Emily didn't respond. Janet, a compassionate nurse, offered me coffee while I was alone. "Is someone coming to sit with you, Honorable?" said. I shook my head, doubting I could talk without sobbing. "Well, I will check on you when I can," she said, touching my shoulder. "The surgical team for appendectomies is excellent here. Your little boy is in good hands." Dr. Evans found me in the waiting room 2 hours later. "The surgery went perfectly," he smiled. "All relief. We caught it before it ruptured. Ethan is in recovery now and you can see him in about 20 minutes." I thanked him gratefully and emailed my parents and Emily the wonderful news. My mom replied with a thumbs up. My father said, "Great news. Tell the little guy we love him." Emily replied an hour later, "Glad he is okay." None invited me over. I saw Ethan in recovery, drowsy. His little physique appeared fragile in the hospital bed with monitors and apparatus. As he opened his eyes and whispered, "Mommy," I nearly broke down. I soothed him by holding his hand. "The doctor fixed your tummy." "You were so brave." His eyes scanned the room. "Is Grandma here or Grandpa?" I choked. "Not right now, buddy. They sent their love though. They are so proud of how brave you have been." "Will they come tomorrow?" he questioned before falling asleep. "Maybe," I answered, knowing the answer. The next 2 days were grueling. In a recliner next Ethan's bed, I woke when he did. I worked on my laptop during his naps to address my most important customer concerns. I had to enter the corridor for client calls due to poor hospital Wi-Fi. Always concerned about being apart from Ethan, even for 15 minutes. My family received regular updates with Ethan's healing pictures. Responses shortened. My mother invited me to Sunday supper that weekend. Emily sent a hospital meme. I got no response from my dad. No one came. We got no flowers. No offers to feed or sit with Ethan while I showered or got fresh air. My animosity solidified in my chest by Friday afternoon, when Ethan was discharged. As I carefully loaded my kid into the car, conscious of his incision site, I silently vowed to change. At home, I put Ethan on the couch with his favorite stuffed dinosaur and a Disney movie. I ordered pizza for dinner, a treat, and stroked his hair while he napped off and on after surgery and drugs. He asked, "Mommy," quietly, "are Grandma and Grandpa mad at me?" I answered, "No, sweetie," heartbroken. "Why would you think that?" "Because they did not come see me in the hospital. Mason's grandparents brought him a teddy bear when he broke his arm." I heaved a sigh. "Grandma and Grandpa love you very much. They have just been very busy. It is not your fault at all." He pretended to accept it, but his eyes showed pain. He was 7 and learning a terrible lesson about our family's priorities. After Ethan went to bed, I cried for the first time since this tragedy. He deserved more assistance than my son received, so I sobbed. Always giving, rarely getting, I sobbed for myself. The grief hid a seething wrath that would explode in ways my family never predicted. Sunday dawned bright and clear. Ethan recovered well at home, moving around more easily, and asked for pancakes for breakfast. His appetite returning was good. Text came on my phone as I prepared the batter. My mother sent it. "How is Ethan feeling?" was her first contact since before surgery. I texted back, "Much better, thanks. Eating well today and moving around more easily." I put the phone down and added batter to the griddle. Before the first pancake bubbled, my phone rang again. I nearly dropped the spatula while looking at the screen. "This is essential. Emily is engaged. Lucas proposed last night. She needs $8,000 for her Vera Wang dream wedding dress. Once in a lifetime chance. Boutique requires deposit by tomorrow. Can you transfer money today? Family supports, family." I gazed at the message and read it 3 times to confirm. My son recently had emergency surgery. No family member had visited or helped. After 3 days, they demanded $8,000 for a wedding outfit. I turned the pancake, which had burnt on one side, and attempted to calm down before answering. First, I wanted to send an angry message, but Ethan was watching me from the kitchen island, intrigued. Hopefully. "Is that Grandma?" Lie. "Yes, buddy," she says. "Hi. Your pancake is almost ready." I delayed responding. I fed Ethan breakfast, made sure he got his medication, and put Legos in the living room. I returned to my phone to see 3 more texts. "Mom, did you see my text about Emily's dress? They need an answer today." "Dad, your mother told you about the dress. Emily found the one for $8,000. I know it sounds like a lot, but this is her special day." Mom says, "The boutique closes at 5 today. You are the only one with money to spare. We would not ask if it was not important." A chill went through me as I sat at the kitchen table. After paying thousands in uninsured medical costs, I had money to spare. After taking unpaid leave to care for my son, my phone rang. My father. "Rachel," he murmured without preface when I replied. "Did you get your mother's messages about the dress?" I said, "I did," gently. "I am a little surprised by the timing." "What does timing have to do with anything? Your sister is getting married. Lucas comes from money, and they are expecting a certain level of wedding. The dress is non-negotiable." "Dad, Ethan just had surgery. I have been dealing with that alone. I have medical bills, and I have missed work. $8,000 for a dress is not something I can just pull out of thin air." He scoffed. "We know you make big money in finance. Don't be selfish. Emily never requests anything." I almost choked on that obvious lie. "Dad, she has never once called to check on Ethan. Not once during his hospital stay. Did she even tell you he had surgery? Lucas's parents are arranging an engagement party, so we've been busy. Emily tried this dress on yesterday and it's wonderful. She deserves it." For several minutes, the conversation proceeded. My father ignored my concerns and focused on family and Emily's once-in-a-lifetime event. My mom called after we hung up. Another paragraph with photographs of Emily and the outfit followed. Big ball gown with cathedral train and exquisite beading. It resembled Disney, impractical and flashy. My heart broke with the text. "Thanks in advance. You're the best. Cannot wait for you to see me walk down the aisle in this. Lucas's family is so impressed with it. I need your banking details to give to the boutique for the deposit. Love you." No mention of Ethan. She showed little care for her nephew who required emergency surgery. As I stared at the phone at my kitchen table, something changed. It was more than fury. It was clear. My family exploited me as an ATM for years, and I accepted it. Even worse, I showed Ethan that family ties should be one-sided, exploitative, and careless. As a financial consultant, I advised clients on financial boundaries and identified financial abuse in relationships. However, I had not applied the same criteria to my family. I enabled their conduct repeatedly, waiting for change. Financially, I was comfortable, but not affluent. My modest 3-bedroom house was mortgaged. I had a developing college fund for Ethan, but it needed years more contributions. This procedure cut into my emergency savings. My retirement funds were on pace but not extravagant. The $8,000 they demanded would delay house repairs, cut Ethan's extracurriculars, or deplete my retirement funds. All for a dress worn once for a sister who couldn't see her nephew in the hospital or ask after his recuperation. A last SMS from my mother arrived while I digested these ideas. We know this is a big ask, but remember all we have done for you over the years. Family supports each other. Your sister would do the same for you. I knew what to do. I opened my laptop at my desk as Ethan napped that afternoon. As a financial advisor, I could manage this scenario strategically rather than emotionally, albeit I was feeling many emotions. First, I checked my family and personal finances. When my father had a health crisis years ago, my parents and I opened an emergency account. I put $4,500 and added little sums. Eventually intended it for a real situation. The account has slightly over $7,000. My curiosity led me to investigate transaction history. What I found shocked me. Last year saw dozens of modest withdrawals. No discussion with me about $150 here, $250 there. While Ethan was in the hospital last week, they made a $500 withdrawal with the note line, "Advance for dress shopping." They had been utilizing this emergency cash for Emily's wedding expenditures without notifying me. Although my blood heated, I tried to think straight. This was not the time for emotion. It was time to establish limits. A presentation on financial abuse and exploitation was part of my financial advisor training. Instructors stressed that financial boundaries must be firmly maintained after violation. Half measures encouraged further exploitation. Since Robert, my bank branch manager, had mentored me, I phoned him. "Rachel," he welcomed me. At least someone was paying notice to my family situation. After quickly updating him on Ethan's recuperation, I explained why I was calling. "I need to make some changes to my accounts, particularly regarding authorized access. And I would like your advice on the best way to handle this situation." I explained the shared emergency account, illicit withdrawals, and $8,000 demand. Robert listened uninterrupted. He replied, "Unfortunately, this type of family financial entanglement is more common than you might think," after I concluded. "The good news is we can take steps immediately to protect your assets." The next hour, Robert helped me draft a detailed strategy. I would lock the joint emergency account to prevent withdrawals without my presence. Second, I would create a new college fund for Ethan with strict restrictions that would limit access to the money to educational reasons. Third, I would record cash requests and gifts to show the pattern. Fourth, I would send a symbolic answer to clarify my stance before they used the emergency money again. "Are you sure about this last part?" Robert inquired after I described my proposal. "It might escalate the situation." "I am sure," I continued. "This has been building for years. If I do not make a clear statement now, nothing will change." I opened my banking app after getting off the phone with Robert. I transferred $2 to my sister's account with the memo line, "Buy a veil. This is all you get after abandoning Ethan." Then I completed the emergency account freeze form and updated all permissions. I also moved the remaining money to a new account in my name solely, save for $80 I left behind. I created Ethan's new educational trust with rigorous rules. None of my parents, Emily or I, could withdraw the money for non-educational purposes. It was fully secured. Work brought an odd combination of feelings. Not only fury, but also empowerment. As the family provider, ATM and responsible one, I had accepted my duty for years. For the first time, I controlled my finances and family ties. I anticipated reaction. My mother would cry and call me selfish. My father threatened family allegiance subtly. Emily alternated between charming language and nasty accusations. I have witnessed this tendency while setting even minimal boundaries. But this time was different. This time I had tangible protection. This time I considered Ethan and my example. I wanted him to accept what relationships as normal. What treatment should he think he deserved? Ethan called me from his bedroom as I finished the details. I closed my laptop, inhaled, and went to check on my son. I was ready for any storm for our sakes. Monday morning brought the expected storm, just dropped off Ethan at school. Despite his insistence that he was fine, I made arrangements with his teacher for restricted activity and came at my office to find my phone full with alerts. 6 missed calls from my mother, 4 from my father, 12 Emily texts, 2 voicemails. I braced myself at my desk before checking the first voicemail. Mom's voice was sad and agitated. "Rachel Elizabeth, what is this $2? Is this a joke? The boutique needs the deposit by noon today or Emily loses the dress. Call me immediately." The second message was more impassioned. "I do not know what kind of game you are playing, but this is your sister's future happiness at stake. We raised you better than this. Your father is furious. Fix this mistake right now." The texts varied from Emily's perplexity to sweet talking. "Hey sis, there must be some mistake with the transfer. Please Rachel, you know how much this means to me," to antagonism. "You have always been jealous of me. If you ruin this for me, I will never forgive you." Set my phone to quiet and focused on work. However, my assistant knocked at 10:30. "Rachel, your mother is here. She seems very upset. Should I send her in or tell her you are in a meeting?" I said. I expected this, but not so fast. "Send her in please. And Lauren. No interruptions for the next 20 minutes, regardless of what you might hear." My assistant nodded, perplexed but empathetic. My mother stormed into the office, crying and angry. She ignored greetings. "What have you done to the emergency account? Your father tried to withdraw the money for Emily's dress deposit and the teller said it was frozen. Then we discovered you emptied it except for $80. This is not just your money, Rachel." I remained sad and spoke professionally. "That account was created by me for genuine emergencies, not for wedding dresses, not for the regular withdrawals you and Dad have been making without my knowledge or consent. We are your parents. We do not need your consent to use family money." "It is not family money, Mom. It is my money that I earned and set aside in case you or Dad had a health crisis or some other genuine emergency. Over the past year you have withdrawn nearly $3,500 in small amounts without once mentioning it to me." Her hand waved dismissively. "Small expenses. Nothing worth bothering you about, but this dress is important, Rachel. The boutique will not hold it past noon. Emily is devastated." "Ethan had emergency surgery last week," I whispered. "None of you bothered to visit him or offer any meaningful support. He asked me if his grandparents were mad at him because they did not come to the hospital." My mother briefly showed embarrassment, but it was swiftly replaced by wrath. "We were busy and hospitals are depressing. We sent our love." A text message is not support, Mom. Being there for family during a crisis, that is support. A $8,000 wedding dress is not an emergency. My mother's voice raised, and I appreciated my office's thick door. "You have always been jealous of Emily, always trying to make her special moments about you. First, you refuse to help. Then you send $2 as some kind of cruel joke. It was not a joke. It was a statement. I am done being the family ATM while receiving nothing but token attention in return. I have my own family to think about. Ethan. My priority is his well-being and future, not Emily's one-day princess fantasy." The fight intensified. My mother's voice gained volume until I was sure everyone in the office could hear through the closed door. She rehashed every childhood insult, accused me of ingratitude for their efforts, and threatened me. "If you do not fix this right now, you can consider yourself no longer part of this family." I froze at those words. Is that really how you measure family, Mom, by financial transactions? Because if withdrawing financial support means I am not family, then what does it mean that none of you provided emotional support when Ethan was in surgery? Were you already not acting like family then? That stumped her. So she grabbed her handbag and stood up. "This is not over. Your father will be calling you. You have until noon to make this right." She fired one last shot as she raced for the door. "And do not bother coming to Sunday dinner anymore if this is how you treat family." I sat at my desk shivering yet strangely peaceful after she went. I anticipated fury, but seeing it was shocking. A few minutes later, my helper entered. "Everything okay?" I think the entire floor heard parts of that. She got a feeble smile. "Family drama, nothing to worry about." But by midday, things had worsened. Dad phoned 4 more times. Each went to voicemail. Emily's texts become frenzied and aggressive. Muted the discussion. I got an unexpected call from Robert at the bank at 1:15. Rachel, I wanted to give you a heads up. Your parents just left my office. They were trying to override the freeze on the joint account, claiming it was an emergency situation and that you were having mental health issues preventing you from making rational decisions. Oh, I gasped. They what? They also attempted to file a fraud report, claiming you had unlawfully transferred funds out of a joint account. I told you may make such adjustments as the primary account holder who created and financed the account. I appreciate the call, Robert. I am sorry you got dragged into this. No need to apologize. I wanted you to know they may try other avenues. They mentioned possibly contacting your firm's management to discuss your concerning behavior. I thought you should be prepared. After thanking Robert again, I walked to my supervisor's office to explain the issue before my parents called to accuse me of mental instability. Sandra, my 5-year supervisor, listened with rising worry. I had no idea you were dealing with this kind of family pressure, Rachel, she stated afterward. If they do call, I will handle it appropriately, and if you need any time off to deal with this situation, just let me know. By the end of the workday, I learned that my parents had tried 3 withdrawals from the locked emergency account, which my system had rejected. I picked up Ethan from his after-school program, fatigued from emotional combat but certain in my choice. Finally, someone other than myself would have to give. I received my father's call Tuesday night. I ignored their cries all day, but this one beckoned. The word, Rachel, my father said with controlled wrath. We need to have a family meeting tonight, 7 o'clock at our house. I cannot do tonight, Dad. Ethan is still recovering, and I do not want to leave him with a sitter so soon after his surgery. Then bring him. This needs to be resolved immediately. Is this about Emily's dress? Because my answer has not changed. This is about much more than the dress. Now you have made serious accusations and taken actions that affect this entire family. 7 o'clock. His call ended without my response. In my kitchen, I weighed my alternatives. Refusing to go would exacerbate the issue. If this encounter was unavoidable, I may as well meet it on my terms. I contacted my neighbor, Mrs. Green, a retired teacher and Ethan's backup caretaker. She knew from my tone that watching him for a few hours was vital and consented. Take all the time you need, she said. Ethan and I will bake cookies and watch that space documentary he's been talking about. I collected paperwork before departing. I created a spreadsheet with my $45,000 family contributions over the past decade. Bank statements revealing unlawful emergency account withdrawals and texts showing exclusively money-related communication. With proof and determination, I traveled to my parents' split-level home, where I grew up. Emily's vehicle and Lucas's unknown luxury SUV were already in the driveway when I pulled in. My mother answered the door without greeting and started into the living room where the others were. Since childhood, my father led family talks from his recliner. A tall, well-dressed man I guessed was Lucas sat on the couch with Emily. As I arrived, everyone glanced up, angry or uncomfortable. Sit down, my father said, pointing to the hot seat, a dining chair opposite everyone else. Stayed standing. Before we start, I want to be clear about something. I am here to discuss the pattern of financial and emotional exploitation that has characterized our family relationships for years. I am not here to be guilted, manipulated, or bullied into providing money for Emily's wedding. Emily stood up, flushed, exploited. Are you serious right now? Just because I asked for help with my wedding dress? This is not about just the dress, Emily. This is about years of one-sided support, about the fact that none of you showed up when Ethan was in surgery, and about the unauthorized withdrawals from the emergency account I established. Lucas first asked, "What unauthorized withdrawals?" Bewildered. What emergency account? In that moment, I understood Emily's fiancé probably didn't know the family's finances. My mother's rapid response verified this. That is not relevant to the current discussion. Lucas, we are here to talk about Rachel's refusal to help with wedding expenses. Lucas was personally addressed. I created an emergency fund for my parents years ago. Without my knowledge, they have been making regular withdrawals, including funds for Emily's wedding preparations. When I discovered this and froze the account, they tried to claim I was mentally unstable to the bank manager. Lucas raised his eyebrows and looked at Emily. Is this true? You told me your sister refused to contribute to our wedding, not that your parents were already using her money without permission. Emily seemed shackled. It is not like that. Mom and Dad said the account was for family needs and the wedding is a family need. $8,000 for a dress is not a need, I insisted. And speaking of the dress, Lucas, do you know that was the amount being requested? Lucas's face clouded. $8,000. I already believed the dress budget was too high when Emily told me $2,000 was it. Room went quiet. My mother frowned at me for telling her, and Emily got engrossed in her manicure. I took out my documents folder. I think it is time we put all the cards on the table. This is a record of every financial contribution I have made to this family over the past 10 years. I distributed copies to everyone and spoke as they looked at the spreadsheet. $45,000. That includes helping with the refinance of this house, paying off Emily's credit card debt twice, covering Dad's medical bills when he had pneumonia, and dozens of smaller loans that were never repaid. What it does not include is any record of emotional support flowing in the other direction. The room was quiet as they learned. Lucas glanced at Emily and my parents, seeming uneasy. Last week my 7-year-old son had emergency surgery. I called each of you asking for support. Not money, just your presence. None of you showed up. Not once during his 2-day hospital stay. Ethan asked me whether his grandparents were upset he didn't visit. My mother looked humiliated, but my father remained defensive. We explained why we could not come. You are making this into something it is not. Am I? Because 2 days after you could not be bothered to visit your grandson in the hospital, you demanded $8,000 for a wedding dress. How exactly should I interpret those priorities? I looked at Lucas again. Did you know about Ethan's surgery? He shook his head slowly. No, I had no idea. Emily's gaze was poisonous. Stop trying to make Lucas think badly of us. This is just your jealousy talking. You have always resented that Mom and Dad love me more. The room became silent after her scream. The truth we had always known but never said hovered in the air. My father coughed uncomfortably. Emily, that is not true. We love both our daughters equally. But it was too late. Lucas was staring at his fiancée differently, and my mother couldn't look. Take a big breath and give the speech I've been practicing since Sunday. Family means showing up for each other. It means celebrating successes and providing support during a crisis. It means care flows in both directions, not just one way. For years, I have been the one expected to give financially, emotionally, practically while receiving token acknowledgement in return. That ends today. I am not cutting contact with this family. I am not saying I will never help in a genuine emergency. But I am establishing firm boundaries. No more financial support without genuine relationship. No more one-sided giving. No more treating me like a convenient ATM while ignoring my son. I looked at them before proceeding. The money I have saved is for Ethan's future and our security. It is not available for designer wedding dresses or any other non-essential expenses. The emergency account will remain frozen until we have rebuilt trust, which will take time and effort on all parts. If you want a relationship with me and with Ethan, you are welcome to it, but it must be based on mutual care and respect, not financial transactions. The choice is yours. I rose up and grabbed my handbag and paperwork. No one spoke as I approached the door. Lucas's voice halted me as I approached it. Rachel, I want to apologize. I had no idea about any of this, especially about your son's surgery. For what it is worth, I think you are absolutely right about family priorities. I thanked him and departed, observing Emily's amazement. As I drove home, I felt lighter than I had in years, like a load I had forgotten had removed. Much has changed since that showdown in my parents' living room 2 months ago. Ethan rides his bike and builds amazing Lego buildings on his bedroom floor after his operation. The physical recovery was simple. The emotional landscape is more complex. My family remained silent for 3 weeks following the encounter. Phone calls, messages, and social media engagements were absent. I focused on Ethan and myself, setting new habits and priorities. No longer anxious about the next cash request. I saw Dr. Morgan, a family dynamics and boundary establishing therapist. Our weekly meetings have helped me uncover patterns I had normalized for years: subtle manipulation, emotional withholding, implied responsibilities that were never fulfilled. What you are describing is a classic family system with rigid roles, Dr. Morgan said early on. You were assigned the role of provider and fixer, while your sister was given the role of being taken care of. Breaking out of these roles threatens the entire system, which is why the backlash was so severe. She has helped me keep my boundaries while grieving the loss of the familial bond I always wanted but never had. Though difficult, it was necessary. Financial independence without family emergencies has been surprising. I planned a summer trip for Ethan and myself, our first actual vacation outside seeing family. We'll spend a week at a beach resort with pools and kids' activities. Ethan repeatedly mentions it. His joy reminds me daily that I chose well. I started my long-postponed house makeover. Nothing fancy, simply replacing our outdated kitchen cabinetry and discolored living room carpet with hardwood flooring. Create a house that feels like ours, not merely a commuter pad. The familial quiet broke 6 weeks after our confrontation. Letter came. A handwritten letter from Emily, not an email or SMS. I stole a cup of tea on my back porch before opening it. Dear Rachel, it started. Lucas and I have postponed our wedding. After our family meeting, he had a lot of questions about our financial situation and expectations. We have been having long talks about priorities and values that have not always been comfortable. She reluctantly admitted to being unaware about Ethan's surgeries and health issues. I realize I have not been the kind of aunt I should have been, said. I cannot change the past, but I am trying to think more about how my choices affect others. Though not deep, Emily's apology was noteworthy. She said she wasn't asking for anything, simply opening a door to a potential relationship. I replied back a quick, polite reply thanking her for the letter and hoping her chats with Lucas would strengthen their marriage. While I didn't forgive or pretend all was settled, I left the door open. My parents sent Ethan a birthday card a week later. A gift voucher to a local toy store and a message asking if I would like to take him out for ice cream were inside. A modest olive branch, no expectations, no guilt trips. Ethan was thrilled with the gift card and ice cream when I presented it. Can I see Grandma and Grandpa? He inquired eagerly. We will see, I said. Maybe we can meet them for ice cream next weekend. Just for a little while. I'm careful with these fragile reconnections. Dr. Morgan helped me create a framework for limited controlled encounters to evaluate true change without harming myself or Ethan. I've been creating a separate support system. My work colleagues have become more like true friends since I disclosed my struggles. 2 coworkers and I now have a monthly dinner date where we watch each other's kids. Ethan considers Mrs. Green next door his surrogate grandma. She teaches him to bake and plant in her backyard. Last week, he proudly brought home their homemade chocolate chip cookies, saving the biggest for me. Through it all, Ethan has showed tremendous resiliency, child perception. Before I said anything, he understood our family dynamics were off. He surprised me with a question when I was tucking him in. Mommy, is it okay not to give someone something, even if they really want it? Sitting on his bed, I contemplated my response. Yes, buddy. It is okay to say no, even to people you care about, if what they are asking for is not right for you to give. Why do you ask? Joey at school wanted me to give him my new action figure, and he said, best friends always share everything. But I did not want to give it to him because it was special to me. Was that okay? I embraced him. That was absolutely okay. Real friendship is not about taking things from each other. It is about respecting each other and caring about each other's feelings. He nodded intently. That is what I thought. I told Joey we could play with it together at recess, but it would stay my toy. He got mad at first, but then he was okay. I understood then that my kid was learning what had taken me 32 years to learn. Successful relationships demand limits, and love without respect is not love. Future travel will be difficult. Family patterns take time to alter, so expect more fights and tough talks. However, for the first time in my adult life, I can value myself without regard to others. I am modeling healthy connections for Ethan and developing a life focused on true connection rather than duty. Instead of Emily's wedding outfit, I'm funding Ethan's education. I'm spending my emotional energy on my son's happiness and two-way friendships instead of my family's issue. Sometimes the greatest act of love is setting limits rather than giving someone what they want. Money can't purchase family loyalty, but tranquility is priceless. Please share your opinion on this matter. Have you ever had to set limits with exploitative family members? You handled it how?